Hope everyone's digging the silent intro.
I was about to say, are we good on sound? I was literally just just gonna message that in the private chat.
Check out Gabe.
Is there no sound?
Oh, PK, you crack me up.
Damn it.
I was wondering, I'm like, maybe it's just not coming through.
Damn it. Full fail.
but that's actually perfect if you
Yeah,
consider
who
like
needs the music though? I mean, it was Gabe freaking battle dancing himself, so
There was no music the whole time.
no, not at all.
Damn. They even make me determine if I'm going to share the sound. I don't have a clue how to do that. Big ups, everybody. Welcome to the Slick Dissident Tomfoolery Show.
What up? What up? What up?
What's up? What's up?
Big love. We got Chris Miner and PK with many, many weaves tonight and many, many trialing and erroring through the swamp of my technological ignorance.
I mean, it's perfect though, because we are covering partially the frogs, which is a comedy, and I mean that was great. I thought that was great.
Man, that's so funny. I have no idea how to share sound. And why would they not share sound automatically? But oh well. Oh well. Big love, everybody.
Maybe next time. We'll get him next time.
Yes, great amount of trial and error for me. Apparently, I tried to post a schedule ahead on my YouTube, and it posted on the YouTube, and then I had to go and make a schedule ahead on StreamYard, which then just made for 2 posts on YouTube, and I had no way to tell which was which. I would have been it would have been Russian roulette if I was to cancel one. So yeah, we're just raw dogging it. Fire Snake
God.
Dragon Play Woods Naked. Welcome to the show. Yeah, fellas. So I guess the premise of tonight's presentation has a little bit to do with the Keck frog and its most ancient artistic derivative in Aristophanes' play, The Frogs. And hey, James, and Aristophanes is a crucial character to the project that I've been working on with the Enneagram and Plato Symposium. Aristophanes is the comedian in the symposium. And he's in the number 3 position to begin with, but then he catches a case of the hiccups. So he has to sit out. And actually, it's Eryximachus in the 4 position who de-seats him. He switches places with him in the speaking order. But I've always been of 2 minds that the speaking order is switched, but the seating order is not necessarily switched. So there's kind of typical Platonic riddle to the fact that the order of speaking is different from the order of the seating. And so I've always had it in the back of my mind that while on my project, I physically switch Eryximachus into the 3, and I physically have switched Aristophanes into the number 4 spot. But I've always been holding it in my mind that it's really the speaking order that we're seeing in the book. But if you were to paint a painting of the symposium, the actual seating position in reality, in the realm of forms reality, is still has Aristophanes in the 3rd spot. So yeah, that's kind of some of the characters around Aristophanes the Frogs. And I've read quite a few of Aristophanes' plays, and I've even heard other scholars say that some people think Aristophanes is the greatest writer ever. But that's a bold claim. That's a super bold claim. Regardless of that, his works seem to be paramount to social engineering. Just absolutely mind-blowingly edifying. One example I'll share is he has that play called The Clouds, Aristophanes' The Clouds. And it's a satire about Socrates has a thinkery. He has a think tank. And this play makes Socrates look like a real dumbass in his make-believe academy, where he's suspended on a crane, a Deus Ex Machina crane up in the rafters. And when they ask him why he's up there, he says that the fumes from on high in the room give him the best ideas, and they're implying that he's sniffing the farts of his students, and he's getting high on fumes up in the rafters, up in that fruit basket. And that's all. It's all very funny. But then when I went and I watched Oppenheimer, the entire structure of Oppenheimer is comporting to many of the dynamics of the stage that would have hosted the Aristophanes, The Clouds. And so Oppenheimer is on a scaffolding, it's on a framework that is a comedy. That was the satire that put the king of asking questions on trial. And I think that is so cunning that Oppenheimer is the framework. There we go. The framework that is based on a comedy written by the same guy who gave us The Frogs.
You were just saying Oppenheimer is related to The Clouds. Is that what you were just? Is that what I missed?
Yeah,
I was going to say he also obviously did The Knights, and I could almost guarantee you that at least the title for The Dark Knight is this whole obsession with knights and knighthood that we see, something there is going to relate. I
So
don't even have to
he had
read
a play called The Knights also?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes. And many great minds have postulated that all of theater and film is really just cut and paste plagiarism, that there really isn't much that is original. And it edifies me to try to go back as far as we can in the art craft, in the techne of drama and comedy, and actually find some of the frameworks for things being served up all over again in modern day.
I like Wittgenstein's approach there as far as nothing being original. Like he starts one of his papers, books, whatever, by saying like, someone might have said this before, but he's like, these are my thoughts and they're coming from me. He's like, so I'll quote or I'll reference someone when I want to. If I don't reference it, it's my thought, even though some other guy might have said it before. I like that approach. It's like you can still be original, although we've been around for quite some time. So yeah, for everything to be original, I could see that it wouldn't be, right? If you wanted to get really into the weeds with that.
And then we have that also this quote from, they say it's Picasso, but I think it's actually Tennyson, like this writer Tennyson, who actually wrote the original version. But what is it? So I make sure I get it right. It's good artist copy, great artist steal. I think it says the original was something like the great poets imitate and improve where the small ones steal and spoil. So apparently that changes over time and it's attributed to Picasso, and I'm not even sure if Picasso actually even said it, which is wild.
And Mercury the Messenger is the god of thieves. And so in a fascinating way, that's very revelatory to the fact that most of these artists are just stealing from each other.
Absolutely. I like the thread with Aristophanes, how they say, oh, you're given, or you're there's this thread in history where so at that time the mysteries of the Demeter and Persephone, right, the Eleusinian mysteries were kind of happening, and they say, oh, you're given too much in your plays he kind of divulges too much of the mysteries that it like really pissed some people off. And so I really like that thread about Aristophanes, that he like lays nuggets in there, all, you know, like you said, slapstick comedy. I think that's kind of it. We're looking at ancient slapstick comedy with Aristophanes, but then he like scatters in these nugget truths, which is really cool.
Yeah. And so if Aristophanes comes into the number 4 position in the Enneagram, it gives him the personality type of the individual with a shadow of envy. And envy is the infernal spirit of Leviathan. And Leviathan has been brought up a million times. I've done so much research on Leviathan. It's in the Bible. Job 41 is one of the probably the most prominent articulations of the mystery of Leviathan. But and also Thomas Hobbes wrote about the Leviathan when he wrote about the social contract underneath the sovereign. But then Jean-Jacques Rousseau also wrote about the social contract after the fall of the king. And so this concept of envy, an individual, it all has a great deal to do with, I think, this is my opinion, I think it has to do with the fact that everybody in a democratic system, everybody believes that they're an individual. We all think that we're an individual. And guess what? That makes you part of a huge crowd of people who also think that they're all individuals. You know, it's probably the preeminent mentality that we all think we have a unique claim to. And just because of that, just by virtue of thinking that we're unique and individual, guess what? You're thrown into this crowd of the Leviathan. And in Thomas Hobbes's work, the cover art, I've studied his cover art extensively. And in the cover art that all the people get a copy of his book, Leviathan, there is a big god king on the skyline who's wearing a chainmail suit. But if you look really close, it's not really chainmail. It's the back of the heads of all the masses of people, because they're looking up at the god king. They're envying the god king. But it turns out the king, I think it was King Charles II, who gets the master copy of this book. In only his copy, he actually has the one copy where all of the people's heads are their faces looking at him. They're all envying the only owner of the master copy of the book. And I think they still do that with records. Don't they have a master copy of all the records?
Which picture are you talking about here? Are you talking
Go
this one?
There it is. Yes, that guy right there.
Mm.
All of the sullied masses get a copy of this book that shows the back of the head of all the people. But the king gets the one single unique cover where he gets to actually see their faces looking at him. And so this, I think, is a very early expression of a master copy, siphoning the attention of all the sullied masses. And you know what? There's a star fort. Look down in the city underneath him. There's a star fort right down there. Do you see it on the left side?
Yeah, this image is that what's in his left hand? Is that a
right here?
Yeah, that's it. That's a star fort.
what's over
left
in his
hand?
left? Yeah, is that a broomstick or flame? Flame, huh?
think-
Looks like
Yeah.
flame, wind.
A shepherd's crook, maybe.
It reminds me of that seal a little bit. That from where Tulsi Gabbard was born. The seal of that. Where is it again, Gabe? I can't remember.
Samoa.
The American Samoa.
But you're talking here about this right here, the how all these people are backwards facing?
Yes, they are all Rücken figure.
See, they're all, yeah. See all these people, and they're
Yeah.
facing the king. And then
Yep.
in another version, it's the other way or something.
In only one copy that the king was given, all of the faces are looking at him. But I think in the age of
Wow,
technology,
that's cool.
yeah, in the age of technology, I think you can actually find copies of that copy. But in his lifetime, he was the only one who had the unique, the one of a kind print that he was garnering the envy of the masses. And these little boxes along the side have a lot of fascinating symbolism. So on our right-hand side, you see all the council of fellas are sitting in order. They're conducting themselves very civilly. They all get along. They have a healthy social structure where everybody's obedient. But when you go to the opposite side on the left-hand path, that is a civilization of people fighting amongst themselves. They've been divided and conquered. They can't get along. They're not acting civilly. But that's also how they solve things. They solve it through fighting and strife physically.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go up a little, PK, I'm so glad you're here to navigate, bro. All right. So
The share screen, is PK the one controlling it?
yeah, totally.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
buddy.
Thank
So-
the gods.
So you see how there's a canon, and the word canon is basically signifying that all of history is a lie agreed upon. And so that which is canonized for history is the single, it's the conquerors of the conquerors of the conquerors, because the only people who win every war are the only ones who get to tell their side of the story. And then across from the cannon on the right-hand side, that's actually kind of a Roman shield. It's also a Rothschild. The red shields had this insignia, but those crazy lightning bolts are actually the lightning bolts of excommunication. And I have seen the lightning bolts of excommunication on the number 10 wheel card in the Thoth deck, but it comes from the red shields.
Wait. This is the one. Yeah, what's this egg pistachio thing?
I think that's
This one's
Capiche.
the king. They're the crown, right? Is over here.
So it's the
Yes.
papal.
Opposite. Ah, it's
Yeah.
the fish. It's the fish
Yeah.
hat. It's the Phrygian Pope cat. Yeah.
Well, but also the open egg is it's everything. It's all of it.
Right. Yeah. So this is the let me think. This is the ecclesia, and the other side is the kingship, the sovereign. And there's something about
Yeah, it makes sense.
the king at that time. He wanted to kind of break some of the marital tradition rights. And so he married a lady he wasn't supposed to, and I think that's kind of encoded in some of these boxes and frames. But then go back to the guns in the storeroom that you on the left. Yeah,
Right here.
that image is actually on the flag for Haiti. It's on a lot of national flags, but it's kind of a storeroom of it's the armory. This is the storeroom of the armory, but in a really cool symbolic way. That was the armory that Guy Fawkes was trying to blow up. He was storing a bunch of gunpowder in the armory room of Big Ben, and he was going to blow up Big Ben as a symbol. So yeah, that's actually on many crests and national flags. And then here we have the difference between the trident and the bident in pretty fascinating ways. Some winnowing forks and the bowls of the Taurus.
Crazy. Yeah,
It
that's
turns
fun.
out that that character that is the king in that picture, people kind of argue over who they think that is, and he's kind of just a generic artistic person. I think they want people to not know who it is. So you'll actually find different people making claims that that might be William the Conqueror or a bunch of other sovereigns through history. But I think it's just a generic artistic face.
Yeah, I heard Thomas Hobbes was a real piece of shit, but who really knows? You can kind of tell by this writing here, though. I've read some of it. It's
Yes.
pretty dry and dense.
So Thomas Hobbes was had kind of he loved King Charles II. He kind of taught him and raised him up and valorized him greatly. And Thomas Hobbes just happened to be out of town. I think he was in Spain, maybe, when King Charles II got his head cut off. And so Thomas Hobbes had to freak out because he knew that chaos was going to ensue. And so he was working in overtime to try to make a social contract that people would have to agree to add cohesion before the fighting broke out.
Did you ever dig into the words?
I forget. I did when I was
like
researching
Latin.
it, but yeah, I totally forget what those words were.
Let's see. It looks like Latin. Let's see. Man, it's even hard to read.
SYL, Sil?
Yeah, SYL. Let me do this. Come on.
I have a theory that cursive was designed to make it harder to think about anagrams. If you tie all the words together, you're less likely to even break them apart and rearrange them.
We got temporal, real, intentional.
Spiritual.
There's something real weird about the way the whole
Spiritual.
all of this is set up with the
Spiritual,
bidents.
temporal.
It almost looks like there would be a letter made with the bidents, or maybe in the negative space or something that would happen with when you overlaid it, because of that middle bident with the one inside of it is very odd.
Dilemma? I don't know. What is that?
Devote.
Devote?
Direct. Direct
Mm,
and
be.
indirect.
If it had an E on the end. Yeah. Okay, if they used to spell direct.
Yeah, indirect.
E with an E on the end.
Okay, yeah. Directe, indirecte.
That looks like spiritual in English.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is English. Yes. Spiritual, temporal, real, intentional.
A lot of Platonic concepts for sure.
But this doesn't look like English. And this doesn't. Seal, togus, may. Some Latin, I bet. And with that too. Yeah.
I listened to a fella long ago who was a real specialist on it, and he broke it all down, but I barely retained, 50% of what he said. Big love, James Kaplan in the house. Much love, Tiger Lily. And hello, Zellar Morales. Z, much respect. Thanks for coming along.
So do we want to get into the clouds? You sent me a little teaser message, and the frogs was kind of, you saw some similarities playing out in today's theater. Do you want to wrap on that for a minute?
Yes. Just a second. I got a tea kettle boiling.
All right. Did he tell you about that at all, Chris?
Yeah, I started listening to the exact, because did he send you the YouTube version of the people who had they did basically like a online play
Yeah.
of it when the lockdown started, and I started listening to that while I was reading it. I didn't finish
It's
their version
hard
of
to
it.
follow. It's
It
hard
is
to
hard to
follow. I'm
follow.
not
That's
gonna
why
lie. That whole play is hard to follow. Like
and
I watched that and then I watched something else and it's just like, yeah, it's tough to follow.
I was trying to watch and follow like the text that they had linked to while I was watching, but the problem is they took a lot out. They removed some stuff,
It's
but they also
different. Yeah.
yeah, and they added stuff too. Like there's a
Yep.
lot of interesting things they added. There's interesting things they take out. The stuff they take out seems like it's more because they're just trying to avoid offending people. I think a little bit with some of the more sexual stuff. It seemed like.
Yeah, somebody told me that the exact part that I thought was the most important was when the text was taken away, and that is the competition between the two tragedians. So, if anybody hasn't seen it or watched it, a brief overview is. Oh, and let me mention this: that I also have watched presentations on the historical political change that was setting the stage for the play to take place at all. And some of the paradigm shifts that were happening at the time was that democracy had actually been thrown by the wayside, and the 400 oligarchs had taken over. And this was because of emergency powers, because Athens had needed to engage their emergency powers because they had gone into war. And so before the war, they were melting down some of their statues and some of the symbols of their excellence, some of the aristei that was on display in the public. They were melting down these statues because they needed to pay soldiers to go off to war to die. And one of these tragedians, I believe it's Aeschylus, he's the more classical. I think of him as the conservative. He's from the old ways. He's kind of stuck in tradition. He had written some plays before the war that were designed to get people in a frenzy so that they were eager to engage the spirit of Ares and think that they were bigger than their britches so that they would go out and fight. Well, it turns out they lost the war. And so that didn't go very well. And so democracy has fallen. They had already melted these statues. And now the next stage of emergency powers were engaged, and the 400 oligarchs have come into power. And there's another army that's actually going to lay siege to the city very soon.
And didn't they also execute some of their best generals for not winning or maybe they might not even been involved. They were just executing some of their best generals, while Sparta did the opposite. In the story, the Spartans execute the generals who lost, and the generals who won, they promote. And then Sparta winds up coming back and attacking them, and
exactly
they wind up having a huge issue.
Yes, and Athens, some of their generals who came back, they actually executed or demoted them just because they didn't bury the dead appropriately.
Yeah, that was it.
Because they had failed to observe the burial rites of so many men, that it was a huge offense that they had to come home and be like, we didn't have time. And, some people die in the ocean. They fall in the water.
When I was listening to that, it reminded me of how the pullout of Afghanistan. Like, that's what I immediately thought of. It's like they came home too quick.
Bullseye, brother. Bullseye. It's too much to encapsulate what a perfect fit it is to events in modern context. It's so much.
Because don't they also like reinstate a king who was an old ruler of the democracy? Isn't that what they were saying in that presentation? Like they bring back almost similar to how we just brought back a president.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Somebody's taken another pass at it. And another important. So they had lost some significant battles. They're kind of, and democracy has fallen. The 400 oligarchs are in place, and now the king is taking a journey, and this is in the play. This is not historical. This is in the play. The king is taking a journey down to Hades, and he's going to go to Hades, and he wants to interview Euripides. Is his first agenda, his first plan is, I'm going to go ask Euripides to come back, big up Buddha Yoga, to come back with me and write a new tragedy that will inspire the people and bring them back into a sense of compassion for the nation, to have national pride, or to do what we want them to do. And so I need Euripides to write a whole new story that's going to bring out the frenzies in the people. But when he gets down there, he realizes, wait a second, Aeschylus is here too. I have two tragedians that I can tap their genius. And so he decides to conduct a competition. Yeah. He wants to. Good call from the cover art. Yeah, he wants to conduct a competition between the two tragedians. In most of the play, it's written by a comedian, so most of the play is like fart jokes and cock and balls and all lowbrow stuff. But as soon as the tragedians start to talk, I started taking notes, because things got very serious in terms of what the priorities for social engineering venerate, and what they make super important. Because we have the conservative in Aeschylus, and we have the progressive in Euripides. And so it basically is kind of tapping the genius of both sides of the aisle. And I think it's actually showing us how to give lip service to both sides, what their priorities are and how they think. And so, yes, the social engineering on offer during the tragedians competition is so edifying.
And also, the main character is supposed to be Dionysus, right? Like the one who's traveling. The king is Dionysus disguised as Heracles. Is that how this is? Okay.
Yes, because Heracles has survived journeys through the underworld before, but he's not a very capable king. He can't even row a boat. He needs his servant to carry all the things for him. He's clearly incompetent.
Yeah, and they mention him, he's like cross-dressing. He's also oddly into, well, I mean, I guess this just back then was more common, into the children a bit. But it's odd because this is also supposed to be the god who they venerate at the same time.
Right. And there's something about, because he's dressed up as a hero, it almost is portraying the fact that a costume is supposed to be enough to be imbued with the spirit of what you're wearing. It's like the costume is also supposed to convince him that he's worthy. So I'm going to screen share. So let me kind of set some of this up. People haven't seen the Slick Dissident recent projects. So coming back to modern day, the Keck Frog spell was very, very effective. And it's almost effective by virtue of repetition. And the fact that today, the technology, it's just cut, paste, share, and a concept, an egregore like Keck, can catch on like wildfire. And everybody can even put their derivation on what the Keck frog means. Well, the reason why, and I think a lot of people are under the impression that Keck is a chaos god from the Egyptians. But I'm looking at it as the foundation of this play right here, because as he's going through the swamp, the frogs start to sing a song. They have a little frog chorus, and that chorus goes, Brek-kek-kek, coax, coax. Brek-kek-kek, coax, coax. And they're singing at a pace that is it's too quick for the king. He doesn't it's not pleasant to his ear, and so he actually steals their instrument and takes it for himself and leaves these frogs without their song. And it's actually, I think it's implied that these are not actual frogs, these are ghost frogs. I think they're actually dead frogs in Hades, which is kind of funny that there's that even the animals go down to Hades as well. But let me yeah. So recently, I was thinking about the Keck and the Trump Keck memes, and then I was looking at the Muppets, and I realized, oh my goodness, a great number of the Muppets seem to be dressed up in motifs that are correspondent to the Thoth deck tarot cards. And it blew my own mind. It really blew my own mind. So I'm going to do a little share. Give me a second here while I ho-hum. Let's see. Yeah, I made some graphics did you guys watch the Muppets?
I have, and I'm sure I have seen. When I was younger, I'm sure I've seen an episode or so of the Muppets. I'm familiar with who they are. It could be from being older too, and just seeing it in like commercials, TV. Yeah.
Okay. Well, PK, did you say you had, or not much?
Not much. Yeah, not much.
It's a bullseye for me. I don't think there's a Muppet show that I have not seen. When I was a kid, it was like regular basis. I don't think I missed any of them. I don't know how many seasons there were or any of that, but I'm going to go to share screen. And so another reason why this seems important to me is because we talk about fifth generational warfare. And I am inclined to say that this theatrical production, is that coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm inclined to say that this theatrical production is kind of the fish hook that attaches to my generation in particular, because this really, this is kind of the bedrock of entertainment from when I was a youngin'. So this wall of Muppets was shown in every intro. And the intro is really the framework of the show that gives consistency from one show to the next. This is what you expect to see every time. And they have a whole wall of Muppets, each one in their own frame. And so what I did, you know what? Here, let me start with this. I'm going to bring people from the beginning. So this is the image that got me started to start looking at the Muppets more analytically. And part of that kind of fascinates me is, RFK has been a falconer. He's a hawker. He hunts with eagles and birds of prey. And he has been doing it since he was 17. That means he's incredibly good at it. He's very affluent in the language of the birds. And then to take things to almost hyperstitious level, think about his voice, guys. His voice sounds like a screeching bird of prey. And so this picture at the top was what made me think, that's interesting that there's, I think his name was Uncle Sam, or Sam the Eagle might be the name of this character from the Muppets. And then I looked at this guy. This is Scooter. And if you guys haven't seen the Muppets, it really won't hit home for you. But I'm here to tell you, Scooter was constantly obsessed with the schedule. he was running around. He was like their manager, and he was always running around with the clipboard. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that Scooter looked so much like Bill Gates, who is likewise obsessed with the clipboard. And it's not just the clipboard, it's also that Scooter was a super annoying bastard. You just kind of wanted to strangle him. It was intrinsic to his whole persona. And so I put a picture of Bill Gates, and of course I'm cherry picking because I chose a picture of him in his green sweater. But I'm pretty sure this picture was iconic because of the we've seen this clip 100 times from this particular video when he's wearing this particular green sweater. So yeah, then I look at the artistic motif of Scooter, and I realize it's a good fit for the art card, for the temperance card. And also, this Magi card has a flying Knef. It's a flying egg coming out of one hand, and on his finger, he's balancing what's called the adds tool. Let me see. Can I zoom in? Oh, no. The adds tool is used for the nose scrape in the Egyptian mummification process. There's a device that they jam up the nose to scrape out the brain before they mummify the person. And
Yeah, there's a good example of that on Jesus Christ. I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but if you can, my bad. Someone keeps trying to call me. There's a good example of the cover of Twilight Language, the book by Michael Hoffman.
The adds tool?
Yeah, you could see I think it's Anubis as Osiris, or Anubis doing it to Osiris maybe, or with
Yes.
like the two ladies. Yeah.
Totally, yes. So the adds tool is the device that they use to scrape out the brain before mummification. And I would say that the PCR test is a low-grade ritualization of the mummification process. How do you test something to see if it's dead or not? Still to this day, the way you test if something is dead is you poke it with a stick. And if it doesn't recoil, then it's not alive. And so when people took the poke and came back for more, they're actually, by definition, they're admitting that they're dead. High grade occulted mockery. So yeah, coming back to this. So once I had put, oh no, wait, that's not the one. Here's the one.
how's the other way you see if something's alive? You check if it's breathing, right?
Oh,
got you two ways.
Totally, man. It is so. It's so
That's
fascinating.
crazy.
It's so fascinating how people have tacitly agreed that they are dead. You
want to hear something wild?
Yeah.
I did a video editing job, totally random, back in, it was probably 2018. It was just through my roommate's friend. My roommate was someone who I went to school with back in New Jersey, moved out here before me. And this company was, I didn't even really know what it was at first. It was like an ex-military guy who had started his own company, and he was working with someone from Canada who was an ex-military guy there. And they were working on something involving nanos. It was nanotechnology. I wasn't allowed to hear a lot about it. And it was like a 2-minute industrial video for their in-house stuff. And I this was kind of like before I was like really getting more deeply into the biodigital convergence stuff. So I was like, yeah, no, I'll do it, whatever. And one thing, so in the video, the main guy who is the CEO dropped the new normal phrase like 3 times, and it was talking about how we want to stop terroristic acts, blah, blah, blah. This technology is going to help us at stadiums, this, that, whatever. So it was basically like some sort of Internet of Things type of solution that they could use at stadiums, in our airports, in our subways, to basically do surveillance on us, is what I learned as I'm going along doing it. But they went under as a company. Then I found out that they actually didn't go under. They just switched. And in 2021 or 2022, they were basically given the grant by, I think it was the CDC or whichever government body in the US was giving grants for making medical devices for the breath test that they'd be giving people who had COVID to see if they still had it.
Wow.
I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, it is
They're
one
called
big
SoTech
club.
Health. SoTech Health. They went from SoTech Secure to SoTech Health. They just flipped right into it.
Damn.
And they were
Damn.
working in Texas at one of the universities in Texas.
Okay. Man, yeah. Total star card action. Age of Aquarius technology. Star card, Texas. Yeah.
And the thing is that these type of, because the PK saying the breath thing reminded me of it. That's why I brought it up. But like this breath test thing is also, they've had this for like H. pylori, like stomach bacteria and things like that, where you could blow into a bag and they see if you have it. So it's like still like this constant reuse of old tech, which is odd
Wow.
too.
Right. It's sustainable. It's environmentally friendly. Yeah. Totally.
And then we find it everywhere, like with the masks and everything like that. And
So fascinating. When I was putting this together, I have not generally, up until this election, I have not been seeing Trump as correspondent to this hermit card. Let's see. Can you see my mouse?
the Kermit card.
The hermit Kermit. That's right. I did not see him as correspondent to the hermit card. I saw Joe Biden as a quintessential slothful. Number 9 on the Enneagram is sloth. September is when the sun is getting low. It's losing its power. It's slowing down. And the sun or the darkness is encroaching. It's the twilight years of the summer. And so I totally saw this as more of a Joe Biden card. And I generally see Trump as more of the emperor card because it's so orange man bad. However, he's been correspondent to Keck all along. And now that he's in place, I'm plugging him in as the new number 9, the new hermit. He's here to stay, very likely, or at least this is his grand hurrah. And then I started to plug in personalities with the tarot cards, and so many things made sense very quickly. But look at Joe Rogan as the leader of the band. And for you guys who haven't seen the Muppets, that won't make a lot of sense, but it really is a humdinger. Because the leader of the band always has a red scarf. And the red scarf is on the lust card. She's doing the Jesuit strangulation cord on the beast here. She's got this strangulation cord. The red nose also corresponded to this red cup full of precious stones. And then I got what's her name? Abrakovich.
Yeah.
Melina.
Abramovich.
Thank you. I'm so bad with celebrity names. Yes. So I'm putting her in correspondence to this witch here. This is actually a drunken a band groupie. This character, she's kind of no. This is the old woman. She's an old woman. She's got her nighttime pajamas on. But her whole motif here is very strongly relating to this hooded character on the lover's card. I'm putting our boy Gates in correspondence to the art card because the art card is temperance, but it's also Sagittarius. She's usually mixing up some medicines in this in a cauldron. And I'm putting our guy from the first guy who owned Twitter. What was his name?
Jack Dorsey? Jack
something? I think that's it. Yep. I'm putting him with this tiny little bird because there's multiple birds on the full card. So this is the old school Twitter before it was bought out. I'm putting Dorsey in correspondence to that. And then I'm looking at Animal. This is one of my favorite ones. Animal is the drummer. He's often the fall guy. He's a red herring. All of these are aspects of the tower card. And Hunter had his laptop was kind of a MacGuffin. The laptop was a MacGuffin of the elections. But the word laptop is an anagram for topple. And this tower is always being toppled with fall guys coming out of it. And so, yeah, I'm putting animal in correspondence to the tower card. This one creeps me out. Kevin Spacey and the Space Pig. A lot of this, if you guys haven't seen the Muppets, it might not make as much sense for you guys, but Kevin Spacey as the Space Pig is fascinating because the Space Pig corresponds to the star card, which has the number 8 personality type, which is a controller domineering with a shadow of lust. You couldn't summarize Kevin Spacey any better than that. And then let's see.
Who do you got as Gonzo?
Gonzo is Tucker Carlson. And this is actually goes through Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson was kind of not Playboy, hustler. He was a hustler news reporter going in and doing firsthand journalism, throwing himself into experiential journalism to such a degree that he was even taking the drugs to report back on the experience. But then Hunter S. Thompson made the term gonzo journalism. And then Tucker Carlson, his last name is basically got the word gonzo in it. And also, the trucker convoy took place in Aquarius, and the trucker convoy was a bunch of horns honking. They were honking their horns, which is supposed to be alarming. And in fact, in the Ancient of Days, the geese were used as guard animals of the temples because the geese would react to danger before any of the other guard animals. The geese had the widest range of protective sensitivity. And so, yeah, Tucker Carlson is lining up for Gonzo in my read of it. And then this one is crazy. The Swedish Chef. Let me see. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And let me see if I have more weaves on the Swedish Chef. The Swedish Chef is the Hierophant card. And
I remember you posted the chef the other day. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. 1 second. Let me come back to you guys. Okay. Man, this is.
I see a Rizzo the Rat. He looks like Fauci.
Ooh. What? Rizzo the Rat is Fauci. Dude, that's a great read.
He looks just like him.
Look at that. Look how it works, guys. Look how it works. Like, Chris is just guessing, but if we made a survey, if we had 10 or 20 other people who knew the Muppets, I bet they would totally agree with you, Chris.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is fascinating because, like, it's artistic, it's interpretive, it's subjective. But if we take a survey and 15 other people agree with you, it might be kind of objectively true. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, Rizzo the Rat. That's a great catch. That's a great catch.
You know what's bizarre too? Like because I'm just clicking on characters off the Wikipedia, and if you go into is this Pepe the King Prawn? He's again very Shiva-ish with the 4 arms, but there's all this stuff about Sean Combs in the appearances section. How Sean Combs apparently featured him in, I guess, one of the scenes in a feature. It says his most prominent scene in the film features him gambling on a tour train with. Yeah, so this Muppet is gambling with Sean Combs, in one of his most prominent scenes ever in a Muppets movie, which is bizarre that pops up there.
Wow. Wow. I remember the prawn. Totally remember the prawn. Okay, here we go. I'm going to send this to the telly so I can pull up the. Oh, there we go. Yes, and it's so funny to call this evidence. I'm going to pull up the evidence. These are all. Okay, here we go. All right, let me get to share screen one more time. So this one was really far out because I've kind of I've corresponded Bannon to the Wolverine because he's always in the war room. Let's see. And here we are. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if I can make it bigger.
You'd have to save it, then open it.
Okay, I don't know how to do that. So you guys see the Swedish Chef. You guys know the Swedish Chef, right?
I recognize him.
Yeah. So the Swedish Chef always has some kind of cooking implement in one hand. He's speaking in tongues. The Hierophant card is it actually relates to Immanuel Kant. And Immanuel Kant was nicknamed the Chinaman of Königsberg by Friedrich Nietzsche. So there's always some sort of international strangeness associated to the Hierophant. It's in Taurus. But look how the Swedish Chef has his little egg beater, just like the Hierophant has his the key. This is the key, Immanuel Kant's key, his key to the kingdom of ends, where everybody treats everybody as ends and not the means. But then, Bannon is in the war room, very correspondent to Wolverine. See these little his Wolverine has these his razors that come out of his hands.
So it'll trident.
Yes. Well, Steve Bannon is the Chief White House strategist. He's the Chief White Hat strategist. And there's all these straight lines that come out of the hat of the Hierophant. But then in his Bannon's war room iconography, he has the eagle in his ear. And just over the shoulder of the Hierophant is the mask of the eagle whispering in his ear. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting to just not to bring it back too much to the that last character, but the Pepe. Pep is also the frog as well, right? Isn't it Pep? Pep the frog is like considered the same thing as Keck.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now. This is from the series, the Boys Club internet series, and then it's used on 4chan. I think they usually refer to it as Pep.
Right. Oh, yeah. Dang. Hold on. I got a couple more pictures to share. So the thing that it kind of gets me that these are such ancient, they're generationally outdated, right? Nobody thinks about these things anymore, except for the sake of nostalgia. But what is kind of creepy is the whole entire concept of boiling the frog and how the frog is unaware that the temperature has been rising slowly. Here we go. And I'm thinking of the boiling the frog metaphor as also correspondent to the Overton window. You know, and the landscape, the cultural landscape from when the Muppets were in place when I was a child is nothing remotely resembling the landscape of the world today. And so I just wanted to bring the boiling frog into the context of the Overton window.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then also to just the like the Jordan Peterson image I shared with you on the Telegram, we have the fire and ice motif coming up again with his suit.
Yes, that's
And,
so true.
and
And
I mean,
didn't
his voice is always associated with Kermit, and then
that's so
he's also associated with Pep and Keck and online with the 4chan guys and whatnot.
right. And so I think it's really fascinating that we think of it as meme warfare. We think of it in a modern context, technological age, but it's really animal totemry. These are really ancient forms of conveying vast information just in an image. But also, Kermit the Frog, somebody pointed out to me that his eyeballs look like flying saucers.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. And then I'm just going to, while I'm sharing my screen, I'm just going to share this little idea I've had that now I just want everybody to know that I'm not saying that anybody is diabolical or malintending. That is not the gist of what I'm trying to convey here. But are you guys familiar with Mr. MBB 333?
Of course, I've spoken with him before over email.
Oh, badass.
Huh.
So he's been collecting the flashing lights that are happening around the world, all over the place. And ever since he started collecting the flashing light phenomenon, people are eager to kind of give him the feedback loop and bring evidence to him. So everybody who gives him a flashing light video, he puts them on the map. And so for almost a month, maybe longer, he's been accumulating the flashing light map. And he's up to 207 locations with freaky flashy light phenomenon. And the flashing lights are very random. They are not like on, off. There's no rhythm, there's no reason, there's no rhyme. It's like really scattered and chaotic. But his entire motif is a Men in Black motif. And sure enough, if you do Mr. MBB 9, it comes out to the number 30 in my favorite gematria. And so does Men, letter N, Black, sums to 30. And this is not random to my eyes because zinc is number 30 on the periodic table. And the zinc spark is when the zygote is inseminated. The zinc spark, they say there's a flash of light in the moment that the zinc spark happens. And sure enough, these synchronicities around the globe are all culminating in Mr. MBB 333's work. And I'm actually starting to consider, wouldn't it be fascinating if he doesn't even realize that maybe he's been taking monoatomic gold and he's actually manifesting his own reality tunnel onto a massive scale in proportion to how many subscribers he has.
And I mean, he doesn't even have to be doing anything. I think with just that feedback loop being presented constantly to the following he has, and then them looking for that thing, and then like they find the thing, and then it's actually just like, then you have that energy of building up in the people about thinking about the thing. And it just keeps manifesting.
Right. And so another fun gematological matchup is crashing flights equals 79. That's the number for gold. And lights are flashing is 79, the number for gold. So yeah, that's just one last little fascinating synchronicity that I wanted to share with everybody.
What about that word that you sent me? I did some digging on it and I couldn't really find it.
Thank you.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
What is it? Is it like comedy basically in Greek? Is that what? Okay.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me about that, PK. Yes, this is a really fascinating dynamic in the Greek theater. They would actually invite the popular elites to sit in the front row of the theater. And this section is kind of like in the first class of an airplane. that they get the first seating. They bring in first class, and then all the plebes can pile in after the first class is comfortable. I think they even serve them drinks right away. Well, and then the plebes can come through and admire that they have drinks already. You know what I mean? So it's almost designed for you to wish you were one of these elites in first class. Well, in theater, they call it the Comodumonoi, Comodumonoi, I think. I think that's how it's spelled, the Comodumonoi. And so they would bring the movers and shakers, the elitists got the front row seats, but they were put in the front row seats because the playwright has anticipated their arrival to the theater. And this actually happened to Socrates in the play The Clouds, when they put a actor playing the role of Socrates up there to make a satirical mocking of him. Socrates actually stood up out of his seat so all the people could see him. And he wanted to be like, okay, this is the real Socrates, everybody. That is an actor. And he really wanted to just kind of not have fun with this, and to make sure that people don't actually believe that that is Socrates. You know what I mean? So he'd like, whereas most people are expected to have a good sense of humor about it, but Socrates actually stood up kind of in protest, but also to break the illusion and be like, that is not me. That is not me. But it kind of sucks because in his biography later on, those aspects of the play making fun of him had already swayed everybody's opinion. So when he goes into court, they're more likely to kill him. So I think it's very telling that he was one of these Comodumadoi when the play was happening, and he actually stood up to try to break the spell, to be like, this is the real Socrates, that is not. So yeah, and then I think that this still happens today in ways we haven't considered. And my favorite example, and this is just one tree out of the forest, but my favorite example is everybody thought they were cool when they started calling Kamala Harris Camel Toe Harris. And we thought we were mocking her. But in fact, I believe that we were reinforcing her mantle. We were reinforcing her mystical correspondence to the priestess card. And the priestess card is of the Thoth deck in particular, is a statue of the priestess with her feet at the bottom of her pedestal, and right next to her toes is a camel. And so when everybody thought they were poking a jab at Camel Toe Harris, they're actually reinforcing the mantle that she is egregorically entangled with in a fascinating way. So that is one example of when you hear the masses making up nicknames for people, that actually might be playing right into the synchromystic game plan to reinforce the egregore that they're drawing upon.
This was also in Kenneth Grant's work when he was wrote about the Dark Priestess being associated with the symbol of the camel.
Oh, damn. Yes, yes. Yeah. Oh, man. So many correspondences come rushing in. Bronze Age mindset has slipped into his writing this ancient joke. I think it's a Middle Eastern, like a proverb or a trope that about a camel slipping its nose under the tent. And I don't even know. I'm a little culturally outside of my element about this camel slipping its toe under, or its nose under the tent. I don't really know what proverb that's drawing upon, but he was reproliferating it, and he's very much into the MGTOW movement. So again, they think they're getting a jab on the ladies, but in fact, the ladies are working those mantles. Well, the social engineers are working those jokes right into the game plan. Troglodytes are a people listed in Ptolemy's Tetrabiblos. Really? Bug people? Huh. That's interesting. Makes
I
me
think it's
think of
getting goaty.
it's getting goaty.
It's getting goaty. So I looked at that word, the commodian, and I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. In the Greek, it's like KOMO, like you sent. So instead of, in English, we do COME, like comedy, but in the Greek, it's like como dea. So that's kind of interesting. And the word in particular that you're saying, I think it's just the plural of the one-to-one translation would be a comedian. The commodoi, you're just saying like comedians.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
and I do believe like when these elites were in the front row, they were there because the actors on the stage were expected to actually point them out and make jokes directly to their face.
Ah, nice.
But that was actually testing their wherewithal to see how gracefully they would react to being mocked in public. They needed to have that thick of a skin that they could even come back with a quip, to
You
impress everybody.
Oh, you know
Mhm.
what that makes me think of? I mean, I know you had mentioned this already just once before, but when you just said it again, it made me think of the dinner where Obama did that to Trump
Yes,
with the Saturday Night
yes,
Live guy Keegan behind him. Then he gets off
yes,
the stage and then he just starts tearing into him, and Trump has to sit there and take it because if he doesn't, he looks bad.
right. And this is kind of preserved in our freedom of speech. Is like if they're a celebrity, we're expected to be able to say anything we want about them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's something in that freedom that I think entangles this even more because they expect us to come at them hard and cruel. Um, and that is also why I was so offended by when they put Greta out on the stage as a minor. She was not old enough to be up there lecturing adults. I see that as using a child as a human shield. You put a child up on the stage uh, in this limelight. Children do not belong in the limelight because we have been, for generations, we know that whoever's in the limelight gets the brunt of our wrath. And
Yeah.
they were using Greta as like a human shield. Oh, you're going to make fun of a kid?
Well, she's like an intelligence asset as a child. How does that even happen? Like, who are her parents? It's
Right,
wild.
right. And now she's of age. I think she's 19 or 20 now. So
She's still doing ops.
big time. Yeah. But yeah, it is. Yeah, Greta just pissed me off to no end. But the same thing, think of this: while Greta is inappropriate in age, and we shouldn't be making fun of the kid, and it's super hyper manipulative to use a kid as a human shield. On the other end of the spectrum, it's kind of the same thing with Biden. He's so damn old that I even feel bad making fun of this old man. So there's kind of a spectrum of what's appropriate for vitriol to be channeled towards.
Yeah,
Give it to you
except
in
the
Biden.
old dude can have, he's had a lifetime of just being a fucking shithead.
Yeah,
And so a kid's a little more innocent in that way.
I agree.
That's how I would look at it.
I agree.
Like totally make fun of that guy. I was having some fun looking up the what they actually say in the Greek when you were talking about the kek coax.
Yes.
And so it's pretty interesting here. You got this is what gets translated in English, right? Brekakek coax. But this here, I'm wondering if this is like an onomatopoeia, like what, like ribbit, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
well, because this one, the coax is saying like a comic word expressing croaking of the frogs. And so that's that coax word. And then this other word isn't coming up again, but it was only used in this play, it seems like. So it's just a Aristophanes thing, but it basically too just means croaking of the frogs. So I wonder if it's onomatopoeia, and so it's like brekaket coax coax.
You know what's
But
interesting?
maybe we just have lost pronunciation so much, or frogs have like changed the way they sound, or they had some weird frogs back then.
PK, on the link that that video had to their translation, they, instead of a B at the beginning of the word, they have a V. I don't know if that would change anything when it's
Totally.
translated.
Yeah,
Yes.
it could totally be a V. B or V. I mean, people even these days have, even in English, you have trouble saying a B and V sounds the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's one of the allowances.
Yeah,
I want to
totally.
I want to point out how so the hermit card is generally an elderly character who is ready any day to croak, 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 right? And right now, I've said since the lockdowns that ever since Obamacare and everybody just coughed up their all of their personal health information, they plug that into the algorithms, and it's an actuarial inevitability that the baby boomers will become body boomers, and they know the life expectancy of the booming population from the 60s. They know it's going to yield a bunch of people dropping dead and at a certain time frame. And so I just want to point out how the croak, croak, croak is an actuarial inevitability from the baby booming, but also science progresses one funeral at a time. And that truth, it expands into a million things. But yes, well, the croaking of these frogs being correspondent to the hermit card that is an elderly person is also it's almost like they're calling for the harvest of all the organ donating that people altruistically just give their body over to science. You know what I mean? In terms of magical spells, those are some of the ingredients I see in that.
I dig that. Then I looked up, I was just looking up KEK, see what came up, and it's somewhat interesting. Let me show you guys.
Let me mention this, right? We got the JFK files, we got the Robert F. Kennedy files, and we got the Martin Luther King files. It's a KKK. And here comes and here comes the keck, keck, keck of the croaking, croaking, croaking.
Yep. So what I wish I could do, which I haven't figured out yet, maybe someone knows in chat can let me know. What I'd like to do is that, which would, but I have to use, there's a different tool. I can only put the asterisk at one end or the other. So this is all the words that start with KEK.
Oh, nice.
In their corpus. But, so like this isn't, I thought breathing forth was interesting, but it's so, these are long words and we only looked up 3 letters. So it's like, I wouldn't put too much weight into this, but, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
These ones with zeros, I don't put much weight into them either because they're so rare that they don't appear in like the majority of this corpus. They're in there 0 times. But but yeah, that's another keck. If anyone knows how to do this and what tool to use, please hit me up. Because I don't know. I want to do that where I could just find if KEK is in like any word, right? No matter its spot. But that's something I've been wanting to learn for a while.
I'm gonna send Chris, I'm gonna send some of the graphics you made to myself, and then I'm gonna pull those up too, because I I'm all on this Muppets weave in my mind, and it didn't even occur to me. Here, let me get into screen share. It didn't even occur to me until you made your graphics about how much the frog is correspondent to the alien invasion. And here we go. Like were these CG
Yeah, those are
or AI?
AI. Those ones are
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
But they are like when I saw the image of the frog and the toga with the mask on the cover of that, it was the thumbnail of the play of the
yes.
frogs play that you sent the video. I was like, oh, it looks like it looks like an alien. It looks like like a reptilian type of gray looking alien. I mean, just
Totally.
change the color a little bit, and you have the grays.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And
Yeah,
let's not fail to mention Greece, the Greys.
yeah. I mean, and we were just talking about that the other day with the Odyssey and the who was it the when Odysseus,
Odysseus.
yeah,
Yep.
when he gets to the who was the face, I don't want to say it wrong, Phakians or Phaeacians,
Phaeacians. Yeah. Yep.
Phaeacians, yeah. And there's like a word, I guess, that means gray, that's close to Phaeacian in the
Yep.
Greek. Yeah.
Yes. And he's super cunning. He's a strategist. His name has more translations than you can actually believe one word would mean. Some say his name means pain and suffering. Um, but it
And when he's there in the story, like they are the ones who have the ships that move by thought. So they have the
Mhm.
rudderless ships that move by thought, almost like they're controlled by AI, and they can also take you to any destination in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yep. Yes, the Phaeacians are in the number one spot in the Enneagram. They have a very high standard for propriety. They're obsessed with behaving properly and going through the exact perfect ideal channels when you conduct yourself in their society.
Hmm.
Um,
And the
and
location it took me to was called Sharia, but it also had it as that it had as Sharia. It has, I think it was Faiakai, which is like a fake yeah, but there's that fake AI kind of in the name. And then it was also PHAECIA, so there had like three different names for one place,
wow,
which I thought was interesting too.
right. And when they mentioned that Jordan Peterson's voice sounds like Kermit, it,
Yeah.
it kind of made me think: is Kermit supposed to sound like a eunuch? You know, they say that getting it chopped will change your tonality, and I just wonder if I'm not saying that Jordan Peterson is a eunuch. I'm just wondering if he's supposed to be hitting a particular note that sounds like a dickless asshole.
I
Do you think can eunuchs get hard?
They're nothing to get hard.
So weird thing. I looked it up today. You're welcome, everyone. I'm gonna tell you right here, right now. Eunuchs apparently can get an erection, can even have sex, and some of them can even like ejaculate. Um and
What?
then some can I guess have orgasm but without ejaculation. But the thing is, I gotta let my dog out. But the thing is, it's like it totally kills the sex drive, but it
Whoa.
doesn't eliminate it completely. So yeah,
That
Wow.
I was kind of blown away by that. I was like, what? I don't know what the
damn.
hell made me look that up, but but I just looked it up today, so it's just so weird. All right, I'll be right back.
That is super weird.
That is weird. And it's not the first time that I've heard this the idea you mentioned about Peterson and the whole eunuch thing. I've heard like stuff where people have said he's like, the whole gender switching thing with him and his wife. That thing goes around, but there's a whole Tavistock kind of connection there's something interesting I saw when I was looking up his suits, because that's how I found the image. There was an article on his suits. The company who makes it is called LGFG, which was I was automatically like, it sounds just like LGB. Like we're getting into like this long acronym of letters, but this is the brand that makes his suits that are meant to be like chaotic. And he also mentions Joe Rogan specifically in one of these articles where he's talking about his suits, and he tells Rogan, where is it? I have the quote here. I have one suit with you in the lining too. And
Whoa.
to me, it was almost like, oh, he's put like his skin. Like I'm thinking that, I thought that was weird.
That is super weird.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I know he meant like he had an image of him, but it's just like that being the quote is very like Hannibal Lecter-y.
yes, exactly. Sounds just like, what's his name? Wild Bill,
Mhm.
where he's wearing the skin of his victims. Whoa, what a creepy quote. This picture, I've actually used this picture, this image before, because it brought to my mind Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah. Well, how interesting! Look at the AI generated gray alien with the toga.
Yeah,
That those colors, they chose that randomly.
that's a trip. That is a trip and a half. Yeah. One thing that is, I think that a lot of people have jumped on the Jordan Peterson train. His name is really hailing to Orion, as Orion is walking on the Eridanus River, and Peter is kind of like a hierophant of the Catholic Church. But the Eridanus is pronounced a much different way in the Middle East. They call it the Joradan. The Joradan River is the earthly derivative of the Eridanus constellation. And so, yeah, a hierophant walking on a river is very much a stellar phenomenon. But he's also giving commandments. He's giving people the 12 commandments to clean your room. So, yeah, he's very correspondent to Orion. But yeah, but he is also, I'm going to say this, he is also very fluent in Machiavellian technology. I see a lot of the things I learned from Machiavelli are coming through in Jordan Peterson's uh, personality type, and a lot of his drive is very Machiavellian. And also, he named his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev. And I think a lot of people worried about the Russia would find it a little alarming that he named his daughter after Mikhail Gorbachev, who probably had an elite island map on his forehead.
He also started the Ark. He has that organization, the Ark, which is
Yep.
which is supposed to compete with the WEF, I guess, as a not in opposition to it.
Right. And, the Noah's Ark is the earliest derivation of the draft. Emergency, everybody get on this ship. We're going into war. All references to the Ark are actually deep coded for the draft. This one is good. What's up, PK?
We're getting close. We were almost there with Argo Navis.
Noah's Ark. Okay, here, let me share these last two, and then I want you to tell us about the Argo Navis, because I don't want to screw up and say the wrong year. But yeah, Kermit is the Hermit. Super powerful. All right. You feel like sharing some Argo Navis weaves with us, PK? Tell me all about it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. Argo Navis. So currently, there are how many constellations, Gabe?
88 principal constellations.
There are 88 constellations currently, and then what's the organization? It's the IAU, right?
Yep, the International Astronomers Union has 88 principal constellations, and that's principal. That's not to say like every star is accounted for in this 88, but these are the primary, most important.
Yeah.
And I think of them as stage props and stages. These are just stages of the heavens with different implements all here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, totally. And so to make 88 constellations, which most of you guys know, 88 is a very mercurial number. I believe it's actually like literally correlates to the 88 day synodic cycle of Mercury. But
Yep.
let me change this real quick so we could see where we're looking. And let me go Argo. Oops. Oh, well, I'm not going to do it. I can't look up Argo Navis because it's not a constellation anymore. Isn't that funny? All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's tricky.
that's what I was just trying to do. Control F Argo Navis. And you can't, because what they did in I believe it was we'll just say 1933. Sounds like an inconspicuous year. They decided to split up this constellation. And prior to what we're looking at here is Argo Navis. It's a ship. It's in the south, and even here in the northern hemisphere, like we don't get to see it all at once, or maybe not like ever. Anyway, so it kind of see what it does there. It just kind of glides over the southern stars, or the southern horizon. This is the horizon.
Yes.
And so if I were further south, that would come up, right? And so what they did, they split it up into 3 constellations. The Vela, Pupus, and Carina. Whereas before, and their justification was that, oh, it's just too big to I don't know, work with, I guess, is their kind of reasoning when you look into it. And so why Argo Navis is interesting is because prior to this split up, it was the largest constellation. The
By a
largest.
considerable amount.
Yeah, it was number 1. And so it kind of, it moved everything down, because then what's number 1?
Hydra.
Hydra, right? Hydra, then Virgo. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it used to be number 1. Everything moved down. And then the 3 that it split up into, the largest is ranks in size number 20. And so
Right.
that's this one right here. So basically this is 1 constellation now, this is 1, and this is 1. And it's very interesting here, this Argo Navis constellation. Kind of, you got Sirius, the dog star there. And then, so if you kind of take a line sort of to the, front of the ship through Sirius, it goes right to the place of the summer solstice, right at the, the torch of Orion's club, basically.
Big time.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Right here, okay. Argo Navis was split up because it was considered too large and unwieldy as a single constellation, making it difficult to study. And so this is what happened, basically. Oh, why did I include this London Naval Treaty in here? See, this was such a long time ago, this week. But what they did was, and think about the timing here of when this happened. It was essentially between the 2 world wars.
Yes.
This I don't know, group of people, this IAU, this assembly assembled in Rome to think about this, to name the stars, essentially. I mean, they all, yes, were like pretty much named, but these guys cut out and rewrote and then agreed upon the 88 constellations that we have today. They made it standard, right? Whereas before, you know, yes, of course you can argue that they made it standard for the Western world, right? To those who accepted it. Okay. We'll say it like that, because certainly there's other constellations in other cultures. And you know, and it's like, who are you to name the stars? Who are you to name and define and draw the lines on the stars? And so it's
Right.
just so odd that this was happening. You know, and what else happened around then? You know, the 1930, this is kind of when the start of the Federal Reserve and the, you know, all these things. And so like the splitting of the number one constellation into three parts. Man, I forget the weave, but we had a weave on it before about, do you remember it, Gabe? It was
Yeah,
like,
man.
oh,
Yes.
tell me.
Yeah. So I remember you were just I wasn't even looking or reading anything. I'm just listening to your voice text, and you're telling me about how they dismantled it, and they actually they were lowering the profile of the whole ship. And as I'm listening to you describe it, I'm thinking to myself, they made the ship in the southern hemisphere so far down that few of us may ever see it. They turned it into a submarine.
Mm,
And it's down there in the subconscious of the subcontinent of Antarctica. It is so meaningful and important. And then, just like you said, buddy, it was pretty much in the 1930s is when they started in the military first. They started to give people their social security numbers, and
right.
women would inform on their children and get this state issued ID. And they started in the military with that. They were like, yeah, we'll give you some benefits if you just inform on your child and script them into civic service, really. Civic servitude was all happening at the same time that they broke up this ship. And essentially, uh, this is also when the idea of the subconscious is coming to surface. And
Mm-hmm.
it's even in the time when Sigmund Freud had to be like, okay, I'm not going to talk about the subconscious anymore. I'm going to use the unconscious so I can get clinical recognition, because everybody has dreams. And so this is when they were separating the subconscious, which I believe happens all the time in your waking hours, from the unconscious, which is only in your dreams, so that psychology can have clinical recognition. This is such a pivotal time and a pivotal weave, and for them to be reconfiguring the great vessel of the heavens is next level profound. And it also, I want to even mention that this, to the Greeks, this would also be mythologically correspondent with the chariot or a vehicle, a vehicle at large. And I think that your car is I think it is your, psychologically, it's your super ego. Like if you were telling me a dream about your car, I would ask you what your car looked like, or what, tell me details of your car. And I would think of that as correspondent to your super ego. And that might be also to say, what is the brand recognition that you want people to see when they perceive your most dangerous expression in the world? You can drive around with your car and do the most damage. So the brand recognition of your car is very much like your super ego. I think it is also correspondent to the chariot, because Argo Navis is a minor deacon of Cancer, and the Cancer card is the chariot card. So yeah, just needed to thread all that together, because this is so big. It's so big.
I remember now. So first, real quick, is this kind of like, I don't know, coincidental timing of this London Naval Treaty signed in 1930, which is the same year that this IAU, is just stamped in history, that this constellation got split
Wait
up.
a second. Did that say
Mhm.
April 22nd?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hold on. Oh my God. That is the pink expression of the Lyra meteor shower. That is the first meteor shower on my 20 major meteor shower cycle. This is the beginning of the meteor shower cycles in the Lyrid constellation. Boom, shakalaka. That
So,
is
all
so
right.
meaningful to me.
So check this out. This treaty was about they put a cap on how big you can build your submarine. So it seems kind of weird, in time of war, why would anyone adhere to it? But anyway, they do these things. Under this treaty, the standard displacement was restricted. So yeah, that was just interesting timing with that. The other weave I remember now was that the how this also kind of lined up timing wise. So the splitting of this constellation Argo Navis, which is the largest one, into 3, right? It represents Noah's Ark. It's got like all sorts of astrological things going on with it. It was split into 3. So at the same time, you just mentioned social security number, all this stuff. So think of then the person being split into 3. And you got bye-bye placenta. Then you got you're born into the dock, into your straw man, and then there's you. So there's 3 that split right there.
Yes.
Right away. So I thought that was kind of crazy too.
They call the placenta, they call it the tertium quid. It's the third something. And I'm pretty sure Kipling has written a poem. I don't think it's called the tertium quid. It might be titled the tertium quid, but he was circulating that word way back in the day. So yeah, the tertium quid is a fascinating concept, and that's tying into what you're saying.
Yeah. Split up the largest. We're not talking any constellation. We're talking the largest constellation.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna the Carina, or I'm sorry, the Vela is the sail of the ship. And we know that the economy is driven by sales, right? The sales are pivotal to the stock market. The Pupus, I think I could, if I really think about it, I might be able to get the 3 characters or some elements out of the Wizard of Oz here. She's carrying a puppy. A little puppy is Toto. The sail of the ship is Vela. That might be the straw man, because it's on the mast. The straw man is up on a post.
Yeah, and it's the one that does things. It's the one that, is in the commercial. And then you got Pupus, which is the poop deck. And then the other one, I think, was the stern. I think so. That other one, the Carina, I think, or the bow. Yeah. The bow.
Yep.
So you got the poop deck, and then you got the bow. And so I don't know which one's the real one, and then the placenta there. But I do like the sail as the straw man. It's the one. It's the one above the horizon.
Oh wow. Okay, it's the most visible, maybe.
It's the most visible.
Yeah.
Which would make sense in this world, that they're creating, giving everyone like, oh, here's your straw man, and that's you.
Right. And then just to make sure we don't miss this detail, this was a huge weave that I had with Juan on Juan before the elections. I learned that in the Carinid constellation, there is a meteor shower that happens, and it peaks around January 20th, maybe 21st. Is the peak expression. Now, just keep in mind, when I say meteor shower, I always talk about the peak, but you have to realize it's a bigger window than the one day I'm saying. In every window of every meteor shower is different widths and breadth. But this constellation, the Carinid meteor shower, is January 21st or 20th, is the peak of it, and that's Inauguration Day. And in the Carinid constellation, there is a homunculus nebula. And inside of the homunculus nebula is a baby homunculus nebula. And so I see this very correspondent to the mother, Mary, holding her baby in the heavens and reigning over man. And so that was a huge read for Juan because he's our homunculologist. But it is very profound that it's during inauguration week that this Carinid is raining down over mankind. And what was the name of the Speaker of the House? Jean-Baptiste Carina Jean-Baptiste, or something like that, was the Speaker of the House, informing the sullied masses below.
Yeah, I like it.
Power
When did you say this? The Linden's meteor shower is? It's around that 422.
It's the Lyrid, Lyrid meteor shower
There it goes. Yep.
it has its peak at 422. And
Yep.
the Lyrids are just out of reach from Hercules could reach out and grab the harp, or Ophiuchus also can reach out to grab the same harp. And I think Ophiuchus is Orpheus. And this is, I mean, I'll just keep going if you guys let me, but I think that when JFK was killed and Jackie was trying to crawl off the back of the charcuterie board, as she's crawling away, she has a look back of regret and she almost tries to go back to him. And she's like, oh, damn, no, there ain't nothing left. And then she goes to the bodyguard, to the chaperone. And that was a perfect reenactment of the most heart-wrenching component of the story of Orpheus. He's about to bring his loved one out from the underworld. And at the last minute before he's out of the underworld, he looks back because she makes a sound of protest. And when he looks back, she dissolves because he broke the agreement that he wasn't allowed to look at her until they got free. And so Jackie was Orpheus and the loved one was JFK.
And that's the same as the biblical story of the one who can't leave the city of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Bingo!
And the wife turns around, she looks at it, she gets turned to salt by the by Yahweh.
That's exactly right. It's a one-to-one. And I used to think that I called her Lot's wife. I don't think she had a name, but I've actually heard some people say that she does have a name. But for the most part, I always thought she was nameless. But yeah, that's pretty significant. Good catch. That looking back.
When you guys were just talking about the ship, I came across an image looking at the just various parts of the ship you were mentioning that weaves into something you guys were posting in the Telegram earlier regarding the arch. This might be totally separate the way we might not want to go in this direction, but and you know how they have the keystone, basically, like that stone, that center stone you can't take out or the whole arch falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's something like that with the ship. It's like they're showing two different versions of a what is this?
Oh, wow.
Like these are plank designs. Like I try to put it in the private chat, a wiki link to the picture of it. And there's a Carvel built plank and a Clinker built plank, but when they're showing them both next to each other, there's a missing section in the middle because I guess when they put them together, there is a section that they put in regardless of which design.
Isn't that called like the ballast or something? It's something like that. It keeps it from tipping over. Keeps it from tipping over, right?
Yeah. So if I don't know if you could see that image on that I put in the private chat. If you literally flip it upside down, it's the same exact thing you guys were sharing earlier in the Telegram with that missing, which and that starts to just make me think the sea people became the stone builders like that.
Yeah. You know, with the B2B switch, the ballast becomes ballast, which was PKD's.
PKD.
Yep. And PKD.
Is that? Am I saying that right? Ballast.
Let me go back and look because I was on that image and it was so weird that it wouldn't let me share it. It's like giving me all those links.
Ballast. B ball AST. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. PKD in Japanese is basically atomic bomb. And the word ballast has what's that guy's name? Counterfeits. There's a guy in the world stage right now. His name is like Counterfeit something. And his name sounds like counterfeit. Let me see if I can find my PKD image. But the ballast is a support structure, right? When they blew up the Georgia Guidestones, they took out one of the ballasts.
Yeah, isn't that related to the they're pillars, right? Isn't that related to the pillars? Yeah.
Yep. And also the T-Mobile logo looks very much like, in a certain context, it looks very much like the Georgia Guidestones.
Oh yeah, I saw you posting that the other
Man,
day.
the simplest form of ballast used in small day sailors is so-called live ballast because it's the weight of the crew.
Whoa.
So the weight of the crew on a small sailboat or whatever acts as the ballast, aka keeps it from tipping over. It's the live ballast. So how big are you, Noah's Ark?
Yeah, man. And so, having Hydra as number one, that is really, it's just fascinating because Hydra, the myth, goes back to the Greeks that you chop one head off and 9 more heads come out, right? But also in more modern day context, Hydra is correspondent to some of the spy networks and some of the ethos of some of these subversive agendas. But it's even in freaking Marvel now. You know what I mean? They're just right out there on the face of it. And as long as they package it up in a bunch of tomfoolery in the theater, then people will not take you serious when you talk about it. They will not take you serious because they saw it in a theater. It will have no real world purchase in their concerns. As long as they saw it in a theater, they don't have to take any of it serious. They're absolved.
Yep. And that's crazy.
Power weaves, fellas. What you thinking, Chris?
I almost think that's why maybe what's that guy's name? Danny, who wrote the whole thing on the Octopus Syndicate. Maybe that's why he uses the octopus, but the octopus is similar to. There's no difference from a Hydra. You're basically cutting off the arms instead of the heads.
Man, his name is on the tip of my tongue. I know who you're talking about.
It's Danny something, and I know they came out with that Netflix documentary that wasn't great about him. I know it was a little bit. Is it Danny Costello something?
Castellero? Hold on, let's see if
chat knows this. I know it.
Castellero. Thank you. D.E. Saccone.
Danny Castellero. Yeah, Castellero. Yep.
I love that the chat can back us up when we can't think of it.
Oh yeah.
Big ups to the chat coming through. Fellas, this was powerful. I'm so glad we got all of this on the record, And PK, I'm sorry we took so long to get to the Argo Navis weave. I'm glad we finally made the deposit.
Yeah, we finally landed that. Yeah. That was that was kind of crazy one. That was a while back too.
Yeah.
But just so weird with that timing. I mean, if they are doing magic, it's like, just think about it. How powerful is that too? They went to Rome to do it. Well, to rename the constellations, and then there's that whole like Seska KV, whatever that is with the Vatican, and it's like same people, maybe same time that they're naming the stars and implementing this system that we live by now. I don't know.
Man.
It's just too odd to be like.
Also, Old World, right? Old World calendar April's would have been second month. So you have 222. And when was it? 1930 or 33?
It looks like it was 30. Well, that's what it says on the. You look it up. They give multiple dates, is what I'm saying. This committee it's like they convened and met, and then they went away, and then they met again years later, and then they went away and came back and like changed some stuff and like finalized it. So, they're given 1930 as a date that maybe it was split, but then they were still like figuring stuff out. So 30 is not when everything was done. So I don't know exactly why they give that date, but it was like a span of time.
It's another zinc chronicity. Number 30, zinc on the periodic table. Man, so anybody watching tonight, in the future, I'm going to summarize everything we just talked about very quickly when I need to in the future. So I'm thinking that this gives me a great amount of information that I might compress down to the concept of the subconscious and the concept of the superego as it relates to the vessel, the chariot, even, your car. I've been thinking a lot about how is the car like your superego? In what way? And I think one great idea to consider in that connection is that when you get in your car, you are gaining a capacity to do damage way beyond the human threshold to do damage. And because of that, you have to buy insurance. You have to pay in advance for damages you might render. And so in a non-psychological, completely provable fashion, your car is a super ego because it can elicit more damage in a single second than you could spend weeks trying to render into the world, to manifest.
Gabe, hit that link in the private chat. The last one I just sent. It'll weave into what you're saying right now about the car being the chariot.
And also, Superman is dressed up like the chariot. His color is corresponding to the Thoth deck chariot.
I don't know if you could share that.
Can you screen share? Can you screen share?
I can if you want me to. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Holy cow. You just opened it. We're going to have another live stream just on this. Doesn't he have a monkey? Doesn't Speed Racer come with a monkey?
Yeah, I think so. I think he does. Here, basically, I was sharing. I don't know if it's working yet.
Whoa. Operation Warp Speed. So many things are all of a sudden coming into my mind all at once.
So yeah, that's the chariot card too.
That is the chariot card.
Look at they got the M on the hat. What was his name? I don't even remember.
I don't either.
Master Mason.
And didn't Speed Racer have a resurgence here in the past decade? Didn't they
I remember watching him when I was younger, and I just remember the theme song. I remember it being like, "Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer." It was just like, go. So that's like that ego too, because he always had to win.
Yes.
That's being like put into the minds of the youth is like every single day, like basically this drag racing hero.
Oh my gosh, guys, we could just keep on going forever and ever. Okay, wait, hold on. Pull it back up, Chris.
Oh, shoot, my bad.
I want everybody to just catch that orange glove. Yes, notice that orange glove, that little splash of orange. There's just so much fascinating consistency. Give me a second. I'm going to send myself a couple pictures because this is integral to the exact chariot card we're talking about. And it's like, it just kind of proves that we're not grasping at straws. We're not being random. There is so much consistency to the fact that they had to put that glove right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. All right, sorry about the delay here, but when I was weaving on the chump ear castrated event, look, he's cupping his ear. He's got his hand up to his ear, just like Chump when that theatrical event unpacked.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
So that orange splash is it is the ascot of Fred from the Scooby-Doo team. He has an orange ascot. And even Snoopy, when Snoopy is embodying the chariot card, playing around up on his Snoopy house, he also has an orange scarf. This splash of orange is totally integral to the consistency of these artistic thought forms.
I wonder if there's any other images in this. Mach 5.
Mach. Oh, you know what? I actually put I put card number 7 and it's, oh, look at that. It's the orange glove and the high popped collar. I actually to some degree I actually put the number 7 in the 4 spot because 7 is the 4th prime number and the 4th muse is the muse of comedy, the mocker.
Yeah, that's actually perfect.
Yes. There's something about what I did with the prime numbers that actually brought out cartoons more. It's like I had to do some cipher code work for the cartoons to become obvious. Nobody would have seen it if they didn't use the prime number system.
And I didn't mean to take you off your summary that you were doing, but you were going about the race car if you need me to put you back onto where you are.
Dude, that was a home run. That was a humdinger. Well, here, I'm just going to send the one I got.
I could send you all those separately too if you need them. They were just they were just right off the IMDb, I think it took me to.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little screen share and I'm just going to pull up one more example to kind of do you guys remember that the Pope what's going on? Oh, sorry guys.
Just sharing your whole screen, I think.
I'm trying to hold on. Sorry. Why is it? So do you guys remember that the Pope made the first virtual saint? Did you guys see that headline?
I did not see that. Was that recent?
No, a virtual saint. What does that even mean?
Or was that the kid? Was that the kid who died? No, am I making that up? Maybe I did see this.
Let's see. Oh, I am in it. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Here we go. There it is. So right after the ear castrated event,
yeah, it was Pope, a kid. Yeah, okay. I did see this. Yeah.
Yes. So the Pope gave the first millennial digital saint, and the dang kid looks like Scott Pilgrim. The kid looks like Where's Waldo, just like the shooter from the staged ear castrated event. That kid totally looks like Where's Waldo come to life. But the picture, this is a real, let's say, Carlo Acutis. He died of leukemia in 2006, age of 15, and has been dubbed the patron saint of the internet. And so he was a real person, and he was very technologically prolific. We'll just say it that way. But look how he looks like.
For using his computer skills to document miracles and promote Catholic teachings online.
Okay. But I just think it's important that I was talking about the orange glove. And, the columns here are very much orange in color. And like I was saying, Snoopy has the orange scarf. Freddy has the orange scarf. There's always an element of orange to this chariot card. And that's also, what do we call Trump? We call him the orange man bad. So yeah, they really are dialed into, I just want to say this. They are dialed into the Thoth deck more than other tarot decks, I think. And I know that that's my bias, but I can't do these correspondences on the Rider-Waite deck. It is the tarot deck that really rewards my deciphering capabilities in these modern day theatrical hoaxes.
Oh God, I gotta share one more time because I didn't know this was in the Speed Racer movie. Hold on.
Dude, what? They're making this kid the patron saint of the internet. How freaking weird is that?
Yeah, man.
Is this popping up? Let's see. Oh no. No, where'd it go? There.
Oh, I got you.
This.
Holy cow.
So this is from the Speed Racer movie.
Shut
that-
the door.
But that's Mario. And I mean,
And-
is that one of the Menendez brothers or Luigi Mangione?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Driver's seat? Like what?
Totally. And also Fred Flintstone. You know, there's a Fred Flintstone.
Yeah. See,
likeness.
he played for Fred Flintstone, right? And
I think so.
yeah.
And yep, and you know, Fred Flintstone, he had his feet poking out the bottom of the car. If you go look at the the Thoth deck chariot card, one of those chimeras has bare feet at the bottom, poking out at the bottom of the card.
Yeah. No, 100%. Okay. I thought that was so bizarre.
Good one, buddy. Good one. Fellas,
Hmm.
this was a power weave. I am super satisfied. I hope everybody else enjoyed. Big love to the chat. Much respect, Booty Yoga. Hi, Jay.
Absolutely.
And Eric S. Paula D. Much love, Paula D.
Yeah, guys. Thank you.
Yes, Howard. Big respect. Road Atlas. Yeah. So glad everybody came to join us. Let's close out at 2 hours and 8 minutes. The second perfect number, 28. All right. And
Sounds good. Hey, I just want to shout out tomorrow. I'll be on Gemini Brett channel. So we're gonna nerd out on some base 12. And if there's time, I may pick his brain about the Tychosium, like the Tycho model, and the Enigma of Mars. Because
Right.
Mars apparently has been an enigma for astrologers in ancient times, because it does weird stuff, and some people use what Mars does as sort of evidence that the Copernican heliocentric model could be more accurate, or it might not be the best representation of what's going on. So yeah, I don't know how much he knows about Mars and Tycho's model, but this should be fun. And always to what do you call it? Honorary. I'm gonna do some honorary talks about numerology and base 12 and how people call their soul numbers. It's just a base 10 reduction. They should call it their base 10 soul number. Instead of soul number. Anyway, should be fun. Should be good chat. Gemini Brett is the channel tomorrow, 2:33 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome.
Right on.
Awesome. And tonight, by the way, too, might as well shout it out. Me and Franklin will be going live at I think 10 p.m. Pacific. So if anyone's still awake, yeah.
Wow, dude, it's a good thing you got your rest last night.
I know, thank God, because I probably won't tonight, but all good.
Awesome, fellas. Yeah, big love and respect, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to be on with Chance tomorrow with Stellarium 7. Is a researcher who is gone and basically proven that the Elephant Mountain is a legitimate, gigantic fossilized elephant. Yeah, it's the most profound research, and he has done a vast amount of work on his YouTube channel. It's just Stellarium in the number 7. People can go check out his work, and then come watch us tomorrow at I'm actually not sure. I think Chance is starting earlier than usual lately. It might be at 4 Central Standard Time. If I'm wrong, then it's at 8. So yeah, big love and
That'll be
respect,
cool.
everybody.
Hey, is he the same guy that does the heart stuff, the stone? Oh, nice, dude. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's very cool.
yes, and I'm even gonna ask him about the Chesterhedron. I'm pretty sure he is tapped into the Chesterhedron. That the fella has discovered a new geometric form that is a 7-sided polygon, and the Chesterhedron is in the shape of the heart. And Chester, the guy who discovered the shape, he believes that the Earth might be a 7-sided shape, very much like the shape of a heart, which would be so profound. So yeah, many threads on the way, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, fellas. This is a power weave for the slick, dissident, shared artistic expression. Maybe next time I'll have the sound button turned on when I do the intro.
Try again next time. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah,
Have a
man.
good night,
Thank you
y'all.
guys. I had a good time.
Big love, y'all.
Same.
Absolutely.